Boom, 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 boom. Snapchat just got wrecked. Oh my God. Am I buying the dip? No, I'm not. The only dip I'm doing is going in my lip. Woo! Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance, everybody. My name is Christopher Belly. I'm a certified CPA accountant. I'm a long-term boglehead investor. I'm author of the book Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's on Amazon. And the wifey's not feeling well. So guess who has to watch Strong, baby? I do. And you better behave, boy. You better behave yourself. You're going to get a big spanking later. Anyway, we got to talk about Snapchat, okay? And honestly, I just reviewed Snapchat on stockanalysis.com. It's free. I mean, I guess you could upgrade if you wanted to. But it's kind of garbage. And I'm going to show you why. But before we do that, let's go see why Snapchat, my sharp splat, went down so massively. So here is a Form 8K. It was filed with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. And all Snapchat said was, boy, don't you mess up my business here. Since we issued guidance, the macroeconomic environment has deteriorated further and faster than anticipated. As a result, we believe it is likely that we will report revenue by revenue and adjusted EBITDA below the low end of our guidance. So remember, stock valuations are all about forward guidance. And Snapchat felt the need to report to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and this is publicly available, you can just access it yourself, that their revenue and EBITDA is going to be less than they projected, which is actually good because you want to tell investors what's going on with your company. So a lot of people are saying this portends bad news for the economy. Okay, well, last year we pumped the economy full of freaking stimmy checks. Of course, we're going to have to cool down a little bit, okay? Plus, we have inflation and stuff. And for the long run for the global economy, I'm not worried, but we may have some rough couple quarters coming up. I don't know. I'm not an economist, but it makes sense to me. We had this massive explosion in the economy, printed tons of money. There's always some kind of correction or reversion. It's just like a stock. Stock shoots up, goes way above its fundamental value, and then it crashes back down. It's kind of like what the economy does. So this is what caused Snapchat to sell off enormously. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. I am. Now, this is Meta. So Snapchat has gone down 43% in a day. That's what happens when you buy individual stocks, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the first clue that Snapchat is kind of hot trash is that they are talking about adjusted EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's right. So, first of all, as an accountant, I look at this and I say, so we're not going to count interest, which is a business expense. I mean, you can have a business that has a massive amount of debt, but with EBITDA, you don't even care about that. Taxes, taxes aren't an expense, right? Yeah, nobody pays taxes. Depreciation, which is expensing a capital asset over its useful life, it's recording capital expenditures. And amortization, basically depreciation for intangible assets. Except for goodwill, you actually don't amortize goodwill. You test it for impairment. But that's boring. I know, it's so boring, Strongman. So when I see a company say adjusted EBITDA, right off the bat, I say, okay, they're probably unprofitable on a GAAP basis because they have to show some kind of profitability. And what they do is they say, well, I'm not going to count all these expenses. Okay, let's just not worry about these expenses. Okay, so let's go back and look at Robinhood. So because of this 3-4 sentence thing, this stock's down 43 freaking percent. Now let's go look at the financials of Snapchat, my shark splat. Now, first of all, if you zoom out, the first thing you notice is that they have massive revenue growth. As a matter of fact, you look at this chart, starting back in 2016, they didn't have piddly squat, and now they generated over $1 billion of revenue in one quarter, which is pretty impressive. That's a lot of freaking money. Who knows what they're going to generate this next quarter? Oh, no. Come on, I'm almost done with the video, baby. I'm almost done. Here, play with this empty dip can. It's empty. Don't freak out. Okay, so revenue has been growing massively. That's why people like this company. Now we go down and we look at the gross profit margin. Now, here's the first thing I didn't like about this company because I looked and I said, okay, Their gross profit is 60%, 65%, 58%, 54%. That's a pretty high gross profit. How he's chewing on the can. It's empty, I promise. So the gross profit's pretty high. But if you think about it, this is an advertising company. Snapchat makes most of its money from advertisements. Now, if you go look at Pinterest, which also makes a lot of money from advertisements, their gross margin, 75, 83, 80, 80, 72. Now, I'm sure there's more reasons that this is happening. I haven't done an in-depth analysis of these companies, but if you look at a Snapchat, I mean, how do they make money? They do it through freaking advertisements, okay? So, you can open that can, boy. Give me that. Here, play with this wrapper. Play with this. Play with this. There you go. Eat that. So, if you look at it, for an advertising company, the gross margins aren't that great. And then you go look at Facebook, which generates most of their money from advertising, or Meta, their gross margin is also in the 80s. So, Pinterest and Facebook are roughly equivalent. And then Snapchat is way, way below, 20% lower. So, that's pretty sad. The next thing I want to look at is profit margin. Well, they've been unprofitable every single quarter except for one quarter. That was the last quarter they reported. Well, the second to last, the penultimate quarter. Okay. Now, when I first looked at Snapchat, I looked at it about maybe 6 months ago, something like that. And I said, oh, I see that their profit margin, their loss is getting better and better and better. And I said, okay, at some point they're going to be profitable. And lo and behold, on a GAAP basis of accounting, they became profitable for the quarter ended December 31st, 2021. A big part of that is probably because of the holiday season, okay? The next quarter, they had a negative 33% loss. So they're most likely, as a growing company, going to show profitability in the last 3 months of every calendar year. It makes sense. But going back down to negative 33%, I mean, I guess because ads die off the next quarter. But still, they're not even close to being profitable on a GAAP basis. And their gross margins aren't even close to their competitors. I mean, I don't know. Now, they do have some positive free cash flow, which is a good thing. But as we'll go see in a second, it ain't that great when you think about the price of the company. So we can also see that they're diluting shareholders pretty significantly. We go back a couple quarters and they had 1.4 million shares, 1.4, 1.5, 1.5, 1.6, 1.62. They're issuing lots of freaking shares. And you look at the year over year change, they're issuing shares roughly 5, 6, 7% per year. That's a lot of freaking dilution. Okay. You compound that after a while, you're going to be owning a very small part of Snapchat if you bought a while back. Okay. So we go look at the statement of cash flows. They do have positive operating cash flow. That's a good thing. And it looks like they're, investing in their business. They're making capital expenditures. They're acquiring other businesses. They actually spent $134 million a couple months ago. Interesting. And you go down and you can see that they have free cash flow margin 10, 12%. I've seen better. Okay. Now, even though they do have a positive free cash flow margin, boy, here, eat that. Don't drop it again. Whatever. So they have a positive free cash flow margin, but the next thing you have to think about, what is the price for that free cash flow? You come look, price to free cash flow, 102. So you have to pay $102 to get $1 of free cash flow. And the quarter before that, it was $550 for $1. So really nothing about this company is enticing to me. I mean, you look at it, it's unprofitable. It's issuing shares. Its revenue is growing. Its gross margin is a lot lower than other kind of equivalent companies. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to this. I mean, like, what kind of moat does Snapchat have? It's a freaking app where you make a little stupid filter face. I'm a monkey now. I'm a clown. And that's it. I mean, okay. And you can send messages to people. Oh, my iPhone does that. Wow, that's so cool. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of this company. And it's hard to value it. It's hard to value it because it's unprofitable. And even if I gave it some kind of profit margin, with this kind of share dilution, it's going to be hard to justify a good buy point. Even now, after getting freaking wrecked, almost cut in half in a day, it's probably still not a good buy. So that's kind of my thoughts. I think Snapchat's a steaming turd. All right, let's see. Strong baby's in the crib. That's right. Mom's already in bed. And old strong man might be in bed soon, too. Been waiting for this. I want to do a video, but I'm too interested in your thought. Yeah, I mean, the main thing with Snapchat is you look at its competitors, like kind of equivalent companies like Pinterest. They have much higher gross margins. So why would you bet on Snapchat? And then plus they're issuing shares like crazy. What do you think of Jeremy's thumbnails? He's an idiot. That's what I think about Jeremy. How come Snapchat cannot be profitable as millions of users, ads? What the heck are they trying to... I mean, well, if you look at it, I mean, it's their selling and administrative and research and development. I mean, that's it. I mean, because you look at gross profit, there's only so many expenses after it. It's your selling expenses, general administration expenses, and R&D. You look at their R&D, so their gross profit is 641. Here, I'll share my screen real quick. So you look at their gross profit. It's 641. It was $641 million the last quarter they reported. Look at their selling and admin expenses. Okay, if they didn't have any R&D, they'd be profitable. But with R&D and selling and administrative, they have negative operating income. So that's the problem I have with the gross profit. If you go look at Pinterest, okay, well, Pinterest has a much higher gross profit. And you can see they also have lower selling, general, and administrative expenses and lower R&D. Maybe a good or bad thing in the long run, but at least they're, almost at the point where they're profitable. It might actually be a good idea to look at this stock. I'm actually kind of a little interested in this. Yeah, it's down 23%. This is probably, just like a very simple analysis. Looking at Pinterest versus Snapchat, they're issuing shares looks like a lot slower than they are. They have a higher gross margin. Oh, yeah, look, they've been profitable. Snapchat is freaking hot trash, okay? I would not touch Snapchat. I would consider Pinterest before Snapchat. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to check out Pinterest. Check the net income because I believe it's profitable. It was profitable on a free cash flow basis, but even like the price to free cash flow, how much you're paying for that free cash flow is ridiculous. Go over there. Don't fall off the crib and embarrass me, and then I have the cops called on me. Okay, let's see. Thoughts on pins? I'm actually going to check it out. I mean, maybe not tonight because I got to watch this hellion. He probably needs to go to bed pretty soon. But pins, if I had to choose between Snapchat and pins, just not even doing any crazy research, just based on that gross margin and lower share issuance and profitability, I would rather do pins. But I'm not saying go buy it because I would have to look at it. But I mean, I don't like Snapchat's gross profits. I need to freaking fix that. I don't know what's going on with that. Ticker symbol crap. I always like pins, but long-term, they worry me more with their prospects. Yeah, I mean, there's more that goes into it. You're probably right. But at the end of the day, like if I had to choose between Snapchat and pins, I'm taking pins just on that very simple analysis. But just because pins looks better than Snapchat doesn't mean it's a buy. Okay. Even though pins got cut, 24% today? I mean, that doesn't mean crap. You really got to do your analysis and use reasonable assumptions. Lafufu will buy Snap next, and this will be a 10x stock. I mean, I would not be surprised. I'm actually surprised he didn't buy it, and that's what caused the crash. Because it seems like everything he freaking touches just gets annihilated. So, yeah, I think. Oh, if anybody has any information on Jeremy buying Snapchat, please tell me. Please give me some evidence so I can just make fun of him more. Watch Jeremy's new video at night. His voice cracks and he starts crying. Does he really? Woo! All right, well, that's it. Snapchat's a steaming turd. It's unprofitable. Still too expensive. Diluting the shareholders. Gross margin is crap next to, similar companies that generate ad revenue. It's crap, okay? Anyway, who cares you missed out? I didn't buy individual stocks until 2020. I don't care, okay? And guess what? I own them in my index fund. All right, that's it. Talk to you later. Cheers.